Hello there, and I really missed you. I can't believe it, but I actually was thinking about this, and just for a while there I missed you, and it's just funny. But anyway, if you are going through this course and you've gotten this far, congrats, and I really hope you enjoyed creating the dashboard, your first dashboard in the previous section. It was fun. We did create scatter plots and maps and so on. It was really cool. If you're just jumping into this course in this section because you want to learn about data joining and blending, then welcome, and we're going to thoroughly cover all of these topics because they are important. So what are we talking about in this section? Well, in Tableau, obviously, you're not always going to work with just one piece of data, so just one spreadsheet or one tab in a spreadsheet. Very often you will have data coming from different sources at you, and that's just the life of a data scientist. You have to get this data from wherever you can. And in the previous section, we even saw how to work with two tabs in one spreadsheet. Well, it gets even more complicated than that. Sometimes you might have data coming from SQL, some data coming from Excel, some data coming from another system, some data coming from Teradata, all these different data sources, CSV files, anything. And you have to be able to cope with them and understand how to connect them and work with them all together. And so in Tableau, there's two ways you can go about it. One way is joining data, and the other way is blending data. So a lot of the time, and you'll hear me repeat this in this section, that a lot of the time people underestimate the power of the two, the differences between the two, and sometimes it takes people quite a while to get their head around everything. So what we want to do in this section is we want to make sure these topics are covered off once and for all, and you know exactly the difference between a join and a blend, and you know when to use a join, when to use a blend, how they work, because there's a lot of intricate details around blends, for example, in Tableau, and also specific circumstances when you can and can't use a join. So we'll be definitely covering off those topics, and by the end of this section you'll know all of that. And moreover, at the start, I do understand that people might be coming from different backgrounds, and you might not have experienced full work with joins in the past. So if you've worked with SQL, then you do know what a join is, and feel free to skip the first 1, 2, 3 tutorials of this section where we just talk about joins and what they are. But if you're not entirely comfortable with joins, I thought that it's important for us to cover that off first. So in the first 3 tutorials of this section, I will be explaining what types of joins are. So inner joins, outer joins, left joins, right joins, and so on. We'll be looking at other topics surrounding joins, so when there are duplicate values in your join, and when you need to join multiple fields. So those are 3 quick tutorials just to get everybody to the same level. And then we'll be talking about the differences between joins and blends, and I'll show you exactly how blends work and what they do, how they send queries back to the data and then aggregate it and then only join it together, and what kind of join and blend actually is. And at the end, we'll throw in 2 bonus things. So we'll create a dual axis chart. So those are really cool charts, and it's important to know how to create them. When you have, like, instead of having 2 charts on each other, you put one behind the other or the other way around, and that way you can present data in a more compact and more visual way for comparison. So I'll show you some secrets around that. And the last tutorial in this section will be around creating calculated fields across a blend. So that's a very specific topic, and it's a more advanced topic, so don't be afraid or scared when you get to it. It might sound a bit confusing at first, but I think it is important because even if you don't need it now, you can always come back to this course later on when you do encounter that problem of creating calculated fields across different data sources inside a blend. Trust me, you will one day get to that stage where you will need that information. So I just included it in this section to make sure you're covered off and there's no nasty surprises when you do require it in your work. Okay, so I look forward to seeing you throughout this section, and until I see you next time, happy analyzing.